Welcome back again, and today we are going to discuss how many words does a learner need to know? The amount of words a student needs to learn depends on their individual needs, the situation, and the student themselves. Some people who are only going on vacation need around 700 words or as little as 100 phrases. This is because of the little amount of time they are going to be in the country. If a person were going to study and carry on a conversation, they would need around 2,000 to 5,000 words. The more advanced they are and the reason for speaking English, the higher level of vocabulary they would need. A person who is planning to visit an English-speaking nation would need a smaller vocabulary than a person who is planning to live and work overseas. Most people will only learn enough words for what they need. A businessman who is dealing with speakers of other languages may only need to learn numbers and small conversation to deal with his business associates, while a foreign traveler may need to learn 10 times as many words because of his dealings with foreigners. How are words remembered? Words are remembered in order of importance. If students deem a word important, they will retain it. Ways to remember unimportant words are to put them into rhymes or chants or word association. If you are teaching a class to a group of cooks, they will remember the cooking terms. However, if you teach cooking students terms relating to nuclear fission, they probably will forget it within a few hours. Teach to remember. Smaller children retain information more than adults. While children can retain up to 90% of the lesson, many adults only retain 27%. You must continuously teach a lesson over again to help students remember. Some students forget very quickly and continuously need to be retrained. When a student forgets what was taught from the past lesson, it shows that their short-term memory needs to be improved. Through repetition and the constant recycling of lessons, students will be able to fix their long-term memory. There are many ways of working on their memory. Here are a few skills they must do in order to succeed at expanding their memory. Eliciting. By using elicitation exercises, many learners can remember words easier. When teaching young children, point to an object and say it is orange when in fact it is green. This will trigger an emotion where they will blurt out "you are wrong" and they will say the correct color. Not only will it recycle old lessons and words, but the students who haven't learned the word will be more apt to try to remember the word to be part of the group who can answer the question. By using emotion to help learn words, many students will recall words faster. This is the main reason children like to push teachers and say profanities. They want to elicit a response from the teacher. Flashcards. Flashcards are one of the best ways to learn vocabulary. In this case, when teaching beginners, flashcards with photos seem to help out the best. The learners can visualize the item and know in their mind what the local word is. Now they can associate it with the English or target language word. If you don't have flashcards with photos, you should try to have the student draw an image of the word they need to learn or are learning. If a student can draw a picture of the target word, they can remember it quicker and easier. If possible, find coloring books with letters and pictures inside so the learner can draw pictures. If the learner is proud of their work, he or she will take it home and tell their parents what they drew. Being proud of their work, the learner will be apt to remember easier. Again, write the word in the target language on one side and the local dialect on the other side to show the students if they are correct when they answer a question about what's on the card. Motivation. It can't be said enough, learners will only learn if they are motivated. If they are truly interested in learning, they will go home and study. Many others will spend a lot of time trying to remember words on their own and even look up words when reading or watching television. On the other hand, bored students can learn vocabulary, but will only study what they need to learn in order to pass the course. If you find yourself with bored students, games, exercises, or movies may motivate them to learn more. Just try and make the class a little exciting. Some teachers will never play games in the classroom. They believe by doing so is beneath them. Games in the classroom are actual tests to see what the students know and do not know. They can be used to make the class more exciting and enjoyable. Ensure the game you are playing is relevant to the lesson plan being taught. Pacing. Speed is not important, while time is not on your side. Learners need to pace their learning to avoid learning too quickly or going over lessons too fast. The pace should be slow, and every once in a while ask the students if the class is going too fast or too slow. This may give you an idea if the learners are actually retaining what you are teaching them. Many learners can learn 10 to 20 words per week, while others can learn as many as 40 words per week. This is up to each individual. Give only what the students can handle. If one student is behind, then try to help that one student. However, if 60% of the students are behind, then you may need to slow down. Some students learn too quickly and tend to get frustrated if your class gets too far behind from where they are. They are so excited in learning they may actually be 2 to 3 lessons ahead of the class. Practice. I have seen many techniques on how to remember words. Some of the skills include students reading words out loud in unison and saying or writing a word up to 1,000 times to help remember it. My French teacher had us stare at words for 20 minutes without removing our eyes from the words. While it may be true that many students have a better chance of remembering words if they actually read them out loud. So when they do, they actually recall the word easier. However, this is a barbaric form of practice. Some students will take this method as a punishment and will try not to remember the word. One way to have students remember words is by giving them a list in the first part of the week, and at the end of the week the learners have a test on the target words. The learners during this test have to write the meanings of the word and a sentence to show they understand the word. Students who do this actually have a better chance of remembering words. None of them want to go home and tell their parents they failed a test. Relevance. Make sure the words that the students learn are words they can use. You don't want to teach the word ethereal to students because 98% to 100% will probably never use this word. Many phrase books use words that are used in everyday conversations. In the back of each book they have a vocabulary list of the words that are used inside the course book. It has been shown that when a learner can relate words they are learning to words around them, it is more effective learning words. Some institutions believe that by teaching the students the words they want to learn, the students are more apt to learn more quickly. For example, students learning computer science are more apt to remember words dealing with computers than they will be if you give them vocabulary about sheep herding or sports equipment. So tailor the words around the students' vocabulary or speech dialogues that they are learning. The students will then learn meanings and phrases with the vocabulary they are studying. Recycling. It is believed that if a learner sees a word more than 8 times, they are more apt to remember it. Students need to speak, read, and write vocabulary words to be able to remember them. Teaching a student a phrase and have them repeat it without recycling it during another lesson and expecting them to remember it is next to impossible. They need to have the information continuously recycled in order to remember it. Retrieval games. Retrieval games are used to recall words from memory. Like the use of flashcards, the learner is asked what certain words mean. After being asked several times, the student should start remembering that one word. Remember that it can take up to 8 times for a learner to see a word before they start to remember it. Other games you can play are Hangman, 20 questions, word searches, and finally, Concentration. Concentration is a game where the students have to describe a word to their fellow students without actually saying the word. This way the students have to try to think about how to describe the word and have to use their imagination to try and figure out what the word means. Students are paired up and given 10 words. One student describes the word, without saying the word, to the other student. The object is the other student has to guess what the word is. Let's use the word map. Words that can be used to describe a map: paper, country, directions, world, north, south. How many other words can you think of to describe a map? This will also show the level of a student's ability when they describe an object. Well, that is all the time we have for today. I hope to see you next time.